Hi, my name is David Cebreros, and this is my presentation for assignment number 3, Aztec cities, and basically the 4 assignments. So, I'll go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so, as I was reading through, I did read a couple articles, but mainly videos. I kind of learned a lot through the videos, if anything. Helped me a lot was probably your lecture, Professor Estrada. That one was actually, that was, I was a bit confused. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I still was a little bit confused, but I kind of learned little by little, if anything, watching all the videos, kind of connected yours to theirs, and I kind of got it. Basically, the Aztecs were a very, even though it didn't to us, it didn't look like it at first glance. They were very intelligent. They were very intelligent. It was a very intelligent civilization, especially their cities and sort. One assignment right here I have was one of their actual temples right here. Here we are. Here you see one of the temples here in Teotihuacan. I always mispronounce that one right here. As you can see right here, they used a lot of red in their temples. Their cities mostly flourished with like the color of red. You would see red everywhere. At that point, it was really like symbolic at that point. But, I mean, at the same time, they considered Teotihuacan they even had one of the temples that were named the Temple of the Sun, the fifth sun. Basically, when their deity basically sacrificed himself. So, they could basically flourish in everything, which is stated in your lecture, Professor Estrada, in Teotihuacan, History, City Planning, and Fresco Murals of Great Goddesses and I always mispronounce this one, Tlatelolcan. But that was published both in June 13th, 2021, so pretty recent. Basically right there, in that video, you basically explained how there's temples that kind of flourish with like that red. You even go ahead and go further into explaining they had not even just this one, they had 3 pyramids: the pyramid of the sun, the pyramid of the moon, and the pyramid of the feathered serpent, which kind of caught me off guard a little bit, if anything. But as I kind of looked into it, really, I kind of understood why the feathered serpent and sort, going like, a little bit further. But here in their cities, they worshipped a lot of gods. A lot in their apartments, which were very beautiful. A lot of their apartments would have like murals of their deities, whether it be there was a lot of them. There was like one of like a lot of people and like a city. I didn't really understand that one that much. One that I was really interested was in this one right here, which was still kind of a mystery, but you did a really good job explaining it to me, so I kind of got a little bit of the gist of it. This one didn't really have a name. They're basically referred to as the Great Goddess. She displayed both like water, fertility, and basically flourishment. Here, as you can see right here, she was, as stated in the article, the Great Goddess of Teotihuacan. Basically, Allison Faith basically explains that she held kind of like an expression of like hands being open, more kind of like a welcoming type deal. And basically, as she would hold her hands, she would be known to have all sorts of jewelry and a beautiful headdress. She was basically known to be very, like, not like stylish in our terms, but yeah, somewhat. But basically there, she was basically known to just be one with like the people, giving water out. Well, not giving water out, but known to give water, just basically making the city prosperous, if anything. And those weren't really the only murals that you would see around the whole Aztec city. There you would even see those of like people, and even something like this one right here. Here, as you can see, basically, this is a mural of what looks to be kind of like a jaguar, which is pretty well explained in the video of Teotihuacan Smart History. Here, Beth Harris basically explains that, and which I didn't really notice until I actually heard the video and saw, and I was like, hey, But basically here, it's basically a jaguar holding somewhat kind of like a conch shell, kind of like he's calling out to something. And then at that point, like stated in that article, the mural basically displays that jaguar holding the conch shell, which would be kind of like a calling, something like if they were like a warrior, basically calling out to defend, calling out for a battle. We wouldn't, well, I wouldn't know, probably we wouldn't know, but they basically just displayed it, they portrayed it through that, if anything. Just that jaguar crouching there, that little brown mark there of any lost like chip paint or like you know that type sort. But yeah, a lot of murals in Teotihuacan, but that wasn't really their only city that they had. And just around 800 to 1050-ish, there was another city aside from Teotihuacan. They were known as the Chichen Itza, if I'm saying that correctly. The Chichen Itza was a very powerful city around that time, basically. Here I even have an image to one of our assignments here. You see a couple of individuals right here with like a bow. Here they're basically looking at the animals, and they're in one of their temples, right? With a bunch of statues. Now, Chichen Itza and many of the Aztecs were very, very, very big on astrology. And honestly, I still myself have questions on why they kind of focused astrology, but it's pretty ingenious how they basically pursued that way of like learning about like creating their Mayan calendar. And even in here, like the video from the History Channel called Chichen Itza, Engineering an Empire, the Maya. Basically the Maya here would basically use many tools to track like the stars and the moons with just sticks and sort, right? They were known to have a lot of tools. Like you can see in this image right here, even the children have somewhat like bows, of course, which is like kind of early civilization stuff, but that doesn't basically mean that they had like primitive only stuff. No, they were using it they were very advanced for for a primitive age like them, if anything. And then the Maya were even able to create their Mayan calendar knowing that the full rotation of the sun was that 365 days. This took them almost 200 years to basically build, if anything. And as displayed and as repeated in the article, not only were they focused on the Mayan calendar, they focused a lot on like their religion and sort. They had something that was called the Well of Sacrifice, which I wish I had something to show, but they had something called the Well of Sacrifice. Basically, they would throw in humans, but they would just throw in typically a lot of precious objects to basically just display like how much they care into basically praying for that one deity, which the deity was the rain god Chak. Basically, more rain, more flourishment, more crops, better future. So basically right there, one thing that I really, really, really was impressed was their structures. Their astrology impacted their structures so much so that they were even able to get specific angles that would affect the time of the year that would help them out as far as like farming goes and everything. They had one temple that was basically known as, they had a temple that signified the deity known as the feather serpent, right? And here, basically, in the History Channel explains that they would angle their temple so that when the sun would reflect at one particular angle, at the end, there were these heads, like snake heads. And when the shadow would align down the stairway and create somewhat of a snake kind of pattern, that's when they knew March 23rd, I believe it was, rainy season, which is very impressive. It was so awesome to basically learn about this. And I thank you, Professor Estrada, for the opportunity for learning of this, and I hope to be able to see y'all and learn more from this class. Thank you.